And I think that's a message that I think a lot of people they forget. They make it in the hood, but they think that making it is leaving. No, I think making it is actually teaching other people that they could live here and make a difference too.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of our Culture Cast. Today I'm joined with Eddie G. He is the owner of Barcode, which is a landmark here in Elizabeth. And I'm also standing next to his Huracan Performante, which is one of my dream cars. And he actually just picked this up not too long ago. So wanted to be one of the first interviews that I did with him was with the vehicle. So today he's going to show me around his car. He's also going to tell us about his past and how he made it to become one of the biggest club owners in New Jersey, if not the biggest club owner in New Jersey. So Eddie, please introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, how you doing? Well, I'm a kid from originally from New York. I came to Elizabeth in '94, and I was blessed to open my first place in '96.
Nice, bro.
So yeah,
Rumberos?
Yeah, that was Palo Rumberos. My first club was actually a salsa club.
Nice.
So but since I was at the age of 13, I started as a DJ, and then I just worked my way up to following my dream of being a DJ and eventually being a club owner.
I'm interested in hearing the whole story, but first, before we get into that, show me around your vehicle and let's go for a ride.
All right, sounds like a plan.
What is it? You don't know much about the car, but
I don't know nothing about the car. I just know that it was it's one of a kind. It's the Performante is it's the step up from the regular Lambo, and pretty much a majority of the part of the body is carbon fiber, so it's a very light car, making it much faster.
So you use this as an everyday car?
No, not really. I just but I enjoy it. It's I wanted a convertible.
Nice.
And when I went to go pick up a Bentley, but the one that I wanted comes out in 2 years.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I saw it in the magazine. So when I went there, I was walking on the dealer and I saw this. I said, you know what? I like this too. So that's how I ended up taking it out.
It's convertible.
Yeah.
All right, let's get inside. Let's see what you got.
It's a little difficult getting inside though.
So tell me about growing up, man. I know you weren't always privileged. You grew up.
Well, I grew up in Queens with my mom, single mom, welfare, Section 8. We didn't have it easy.
Of course.
And but my mom, when she separated from from my brother's father, she ended up with all the bills on her own. So he was no support system for her. And she said, "Papi, it's really rough for us right now, and we're gonna have to do something about it." So she started making empanadas.
Okay.
And at 12, 13 years old, I used to sell them in the corner. So I grew up in a rough neighborhood where there was a lot of drugs, a lot of people pretty much doing everything that you're not supposed to do.
Of course.
But while they were selling drugs in the corner, I was selling empanadas to the guys who were hustling. You see, a lot of my friends were a lot older than me.
Yeah.
So when I was 13, they were like 17, 18 years old. So it's not much of a difference in today, because now you see somebody who's 18, you see them as a young kid.
Yeah.
But in New York, when you're 17, 18, and you're making $2,000, $3,000 a week, your mindset is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why I was cool with all those people was because I was the DJ for the crew. So yeah, I used to, of course they were cool with me because they wanted me to, be the DJ for their parties.
Of course.
But I was involved. I just bought this building right here.
This is the one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the one you were telling me about.
Yeah. So the crazy part about it is that when I started as a DJ, I always saw that DJs, I was making $150 a night for DJing. Then when I started doing my 315 parties, I was, charging $300, $500, $400. Yeah. So I started seeing that it was more profitable to be in control of the business.
The venue.
So that's when I started renting halls. And then, in one night I would make, $1,500, and I was 14, 15 years old.
You were thrilled.
So yeah, then I started seeing the upside of the business, and then that's when the opportunities came around, and and then I came to Elizabeth, through because I met a girl that was from here, and she's the one that introduced me to the city.
Okay.
So after she introduced me to Elizabeth, I started working. My first DJ gig in Elizabeth was at the old Club Envy. But before that, it was placed back. We're talking back in '94, '95. It was called El Exclusivo.
Okay.
The building was abandoned. The only thing that was occupied was the little restaurant.
Wow.
So when the Balcón situation happened,
Remember that? On Elizabeth Ave?
yeah, when that happened, it triggered an investigation to all the bars because of
Safety issues.
Because of the safety issues. So what happened was that the incident occurred because all the doors open in versus opening out, which makes sense. If there's an emergency, people are gonna run out, so you need the doors to open out, and that's what happened with El Balcón. So the city got so much heat that they said, you know what, we cannot afford another El Balcón. Let's go. They put a squad together, and they went to every single bar in Elizabeth, and one of the bars they went to was the one I was working at.
Okay.
And so after the city pretty much told the owner, listen, you got two choices: you find another location, you move, or you update the whole building up to code.
Yep.
And if you're not gonna update the building, then we're gonna have this. You can no longer operate your bar over here.
Yeah.
Which was crazy because he didn't own the building. So I told the guy, listen, I got some money. Let's find another location. You already have everything that you need. You got equipment, you got bars, you got everything. Let's figure out a way, and we'll go partners.
Okay.
After I immediately started working on finding out what we were gonna do. So I called the broker from one of the famous brokers here in Elizabeth for commercial. Yeah. An old school guy, Ed Blick.
Yep. He's a legend.
He's a legend. Yeah, he's been around for 40, 50 years. So I told, I spoke to him. I had just met him, and he tells me there was a place across the street from you that went out of business, and he never finished paying off the liquor license, and the landlord evicted him. So if you want, that location is ready to go. All you got to do is just make some small changes to it, but it's a turnkey operation. I told at this point, the guy who was the guy who I used to work for had told me, no, you know what, I'm not really interested in partnerships. Whenever I find another location, I'll let you know, and maybe we'll work together again. But now you had told me that you no longer want to be, you don't want to be my partner. So I saw it as an opportunity.
Yep.
I called Mr. Blick. I told him I'm ready to do a lease. And he sat me down with the guy who owned the liquor license. And the guy that owned the liquor license, he sold it to the guy who owned the business for $100,000. Out of the 100, the guy still owed him $40,000 that he defaulted on. Yeah. He said, you know what? Just give me the 40 that's owed to me, and you can have the place. Wow. So the guy was evicted. Everything was left behind, and the liquor license was available for me to grab. So I had a little bit of money at that time. My family, they pretty much helped me out, and that's how I started. I started back in '95.
That was Para Rumberos.
Para los Rumberos, yeah, man.
Where'd you come up with the name?
Well, I was a salsa fanatic. Okay. I'm still a salsa fanatic, but back then, that's what I was known for. I was known for being a salsa DJ. And so when I started as a salsa DJ, I wanted a name that wasn't generalized for a general market, because back then that was the niche. Yeah. Being a salsa DJ was the niche.
Cool. Yeah, I remember that's back when we first met. I was a barber at the chop shop in town, and we used to do all our parties.
All the chop shop parties used to take place, and that you guys used to do it on once in a while on Sundays and Thursdays.
Whenever we could. Yeah, man. A lot of fun. Those were good days.
A lot of good days, a lot of good memories. And actually, those parties are the ones that allowed me to understand the different market. Because remember, I was like a horse, with the two pads on the side. I didn't see nothing else besides salsa. Yeah. But I couldn't bring in salsa every night of the week. Of course. So when I started doing those parties, and I used to do all the college parties on Thursdays, that's how I understood that there was another good market for us, which is the merengue, the bachata, and then that was the Thursday nights with the college ones. Then with the hip hop, it was the chop shop.
How'd you get your opportunity to get the one across the street where you put Coco Bongo.
It was not an opportunity. It was actually a do or die.
Oh, really?
So, of course, one of the things about being young that you don't really pay attention to is paperwork.
Of course.
And
you don't teach you this in college.
Nah, you don't learn that in college. So I went. I did a lease. When I did the lease for Palo Rumberos, it had a 5-year with a 5-year option.
Okay.
But the 5-year option, I had to exercise it within 6 months of the expiration of the lease.
Okay.
I remodeled this place with, I had saved some money on year 5. I'm like, all right, this place is already here. It's been 5 years. I got to make some big changes to this. I go and spend all this money on remodel. I make this place look amazing.
Yeah, I remember.
My friend calls me up. He used to own a sign company called Sign City back then. Leo tells me, yo, Edwin, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, what are you talking about? You're spending all this money. You only got like 3 more months to go. They're not gonna renew your lease. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah. Their second home, it's expanding to your space.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's the senior assisted living.
And they were the landlords at that time. But they had purchased the building off the guy who gave me the original lease.
Okay.
So of course, the moment I didn't renew it within those 6 months, they didn't say nothing to me. But it was already laid out that I was going to be evicted. My heart dropped.
Wow, because you spent a lot of money.
We're talking about, to me back then, I spent like $60,000, $70,000 on remodeling this place. And I only had 3 months to make that money back.
Yeah.
My friend, when I called him up to see how he could help me out, he used to work for the city. He says, Edwin, there's a location right across the street that we just denied because they wanted to do a senior citizens building, and we denied it because there was a nightclub across the street, which is you.
Yeah.
So that place just got denied. You might as well go find out if that location is still available. He wanted to sell the building. He didn't want to rent the building.
Okay.
So when he did that, pretty much put me in a bad position because now I have no money, and he wants to only sell the building. So I sat down, I started doing numbers. Back then, for the space that I have at Barcode now, you could have probably just given me like $4,000 in rent because the rent was very cheap at that time.
Yeah, of course.
So I tell the guy, listen, this is what happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm losing everything across the street. You're my only hope. How about if I pay you $5,000 a month in rent, which is $1,000 more than you're gonna get in today's market.
Yeah.
And at that time, he was selling the building for $375.
Oh my God.
I told the guy, and I'll do another one for you. I'll pay you $475 for the building, but I can't do it right now. You got to give me. I'll pay you the $475, but you got to give me the option whenever I want to exercise it.
Sure.
At that point, he's like, look, I'm gonna make $1,000 more, and I'm gonna make $100,000 when I sell it more.
No brainer.
No brainer. He signs it. The crazy part about it is that that's when the market changes. The property goes over $1 million.
Yeah.
And now he has to sell me the building for $475.
Amazing.
So I bought the building at that time for $475. Like I owned that property right there too. Corner one.
Are you on the corner one? Yeah, I own one in here too. You on the board?
No.
No, I gotta get on this board, man. They're messing everything up.
The guy, now I make the offer now to purchase the building about 4 years later after me being a tenant.
Yep.
I told him, listen, if I get a mortgage through a bank, they're gonna give you a check and you're gonna owe X amount of money.
Yep.
Or I'm right now getting a loan at 6%. You tell me what you want to do. You could become the bank and make that percentage and interest, or I'll just give you a check for the amount of the $475.
Yeah.
And he said, listen, I'll be the bank. Bullshit, I had no mortgage at 6%.
Yeah, of course.
Back then, commercial was somewhere around 7.5%.
Yeah, of course.
So I had it like that for 4 years. On year 5, I tell him, listen, I'm getting right now a loan at 3% through a government program. If you can match it, we'll leave it the same. And he matched it.
Wow.
And then that's how I pretty much started it over at At that building, yeah, Cocobongo.
Yeah.
Well, I started, no, I was already in business, but that's how I was able to acquire the property.
Yeah. But no, I remember when you first opened up Cocobongo, it was like the biggest deal, bro. I was like,
Well, Cocobongo was a blessing for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was the lifespan that place had, which is 16 years in a nightclub. It's a long time. And but it needed a change. Barcode is the one that came in. The reason of the change was because if you look at all the new young kids, they were like, I don't want to party with my mom parties or my father
the
party.
new generation. I get it.
So it's a change. That's why it's important to make these name changes, these new concepts. Because not only did I change from Cocobongo, but I also changed the concept. You know, I made it where I started seeing why do I only make money on Friday and Saturdays?
Yeah.
And then you start going to sports bars and you see that they're packed on a Monday, on a Thursday afternoon, and you don't have that clientele. I'm like, you know what? Let me build a place that caters to everything.
Of course.
And then I also started seeing the way everything started changing. You know, back then, you know, you wanted a VIP section and you wanted these big couches around you. Well, towards the end of Cocobongo, we will have 1,000 people in there, and people were pretty much shoulder to shoulder, and half of the VIPs were empty.
Yeah, didn't make sense.
Well, not that it didn't make sense. It's the culture change. Lesson learned. The new design of Barcode whipped out every single VIP, and I installed high tables. So now my high tables, you could go there on an afternoon, watch a soccer game, you could eat, and at the same time, that's the same table where you're gonna get served when you want to buy a bottle.
Of course.
And then that changed the industry.
Nice.
That changed the industry. We started making ladies free no matter what event we have, unless we have a big artist, then that's how we kept it. And that became the new attraction.
Did it ever make you nervous that you opened so many locations close to each other within the same town, within the same area?
No, actually, if you look at the history from zones that have so many places in one area, they're the ones who actually become how you call that, tourist attractions. South Beach, you can't. Every 5 feet there's another bar, there's another restaurant.
So you weren't worried about over serving the community. You were pulling people from different.
You see,
states.
if you're building a place for your locals, then just open up a corner bar.
Of course.
But if you're gonna open up something that's gonna make a difference, you really have to start thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
If it works for Cancun, if it works for Vegas, why wouldn't it work for our city?
Got it.
When we're so close to New York? If you look at, that was the attraction of New York. Hoboken is another thing too. Why do people go to Hoboken? When people go to Hoboken, they never say, I'm gonna go to this bar in Hoboken.
Yep.
They say, I'm gonna go to Hoboken.
Yeah.
Because they know that if that bar is not that good that night, they could go to the one next door.
Of course.
And somehow, some way, they don't even need to leave Hoboken. And I started using all those things that I have learned through all the years. I'm like, you know what?
It's a big gamble.
It's
But you made it happen.
But listen, nothing that's ever big, nothing that has ever been big or has ever been important was ever supposed to be easy.
No, of course.
If it's easy, then it's just not gonna be good.
Of course.
You gotta be willing to take those chances.
Yeah.
I think that I have done it, and I have seen the rewards. You know, the crazy part about it is that employees they just go to the next place. You stay stuck with the place.
Of course.
So we're not in the friendship business. We're in the making sure business, and that's one thing that I make sure. I make sure that there's no leakage, and that's why we're profitable. And when we're profitable, we're able to spend money on technology. We're able to go ahead and invest on the better sound system. If I have to redo my whole light show,
Of course.
I could do it.
Do it.
A lot of bars cannot spend money on improving themselves because they just don't have the income.
Sure.
But it's because they didn't have the simple steps, which it was control your product.
Exactly.
If you can't control your product, you can't control your business.
Thank you so much for giving me time today and driving
Oh,
me
man.
around in that
Oh,
nice,
anytime,
beautiful
man.
Lambo. I'm sure our viewers today really enjoyed your message and your story, and I'm sure there's a lot bigger things to come from you and your organization. So
God
thanks
willing.
again. Yeah,
God
absolutely.
willing.
God first. Eddie, thank you so much. And guys, thank you for watching. If you guys want to know more about Eddie's organization, what website can you visit?
My social media, Eddie G1 on Instagram, Eddie Gomez on Facebook, or just barcodenj.com.
Or just go to any nightclub in Elizabeth. It's probably his. So.